Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady Hooker. Live on Skype, we got Josh.
Hey!
And we got Brandon.
Howdy.
So, later on in the middle of this show, we're going to have a sub-special Michael Rowe from Arrow interview. So, we're going to just talk about the main points of Raw and SmackDown, which the first one is Stephanie McMahon continues to punish Nikki Bella for her sister's misdeed.
Yeah, I don't really get why Stephanie is taking her anger out on Brie. Maybe it's just because of embarrassment, but Nikki really didn't do anything wrong. So I think it's just the embarrassment that Brie caused Stephanie McMahon is causing Stephanie McMahon to do a lot of things to Brie Bella, or Nikki Bella.
It's pretty simple, Brandon. She can't get at the person that did it. So the obvious answer is to get at the person that you can get to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's why she's going after Nikki, because Brie is, quote unquote, not in the company anymore.
But does that mean that we'll see her return soon?
Yes, probably for SummerSlam.
I kind of wanted to see Nikki versus Stephanie first, then see Brie come back to defend her sister's honor and kick the crap out of Stephanie.
The only way that would work if Stephanie beats Nikki.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
That's seeing a lot of Stephanie in the ring.
Yeah.
She's a former champion.
She's a former women's champion.
True. So we'll jump on to the next point. Our Fandango and Ziggler are continuing their feud while Alberto Del Rio gets a shot at the US title.
If I were Dolph Ziggler, I would be running away right now, because the last thing I want to do is insert myself into that love triangle and make it a rectangle.
Well, it looks like they completely have closed out Fandango. So it looks like it's going to be a triangle, all right, but it's going to involve Ziggler and not Fandango.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
I still have no idea what they're doing with it. The main point of that match was not to put Alberto Del Rio versus Sheamus. It was just to put over the Fandango Ziggler feud.
Yeah.
Though I'm pretty sure Alberto Del Rio failed in his attempt. Yeah, he lost in a hard-fought match.
It was a last man standing match.
Okay. So what do we have now? We got the Bret Hart and Damien Sandow.
And Bret Sandheart.
I don't know how Hartdow, whatever they were calling him.
Yeah, it seems like they're running with a Charlie Haas gimmick with Damien Sandow. Damien Sandow, he's a very entertaining character, and it seems like everything they're giving him, he's working with it, just like what they're doing with Cody Rhodes. It worked with Stardust, it worked with regular Cody Rhodes, it worked with Dashing Cody Rhodes, and now we have Damien Sandow as Bret Hart, Damien Sandow as Shawn Michaels on Main Event. It seems like they're doing a Charlie Haas gimmick, like I said.
That's about all I can explain it as well. I think Sandow probably screwed up at some point and is being punished for it with this type of gimmick. Because that's the only thing I can explain it is he must have done something big that's not getting out. That's just because it makes no sense.
Yeah, if we were looking back about a year, I don't know how far back, we had quite a good feud between Sheamus and Sandow with the Gordian knot and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And it looked like Sandow was being prepped to at least be elevated towards the main event. And then he cashed in against Cena and lost. And next thing you know, he's coming out every week dressed up as somebody else.
And losing to Sheamus in about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So, he's definitely fallen. You can see it against the same opponent. But they're funny, but definitely not where I'd want Sandow to be.
I almost have to wonder if he didn't fail a drug test and they've kept it under wraps by doing all this that they're doing to him.
I don't know. It doesn't seem right for Sandow. But we'll jump into the classic entrance theme of the week. Forgive my pronunciation. Los Baracas.
Cuando digas mi nombre, no me confrontes si no eres un hombre. Tato, yeah, represento mi body.
Hey, so you're back with Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. Right now we're going to play the first part of the Michael Rowe interview that me and Josh did this past week. I hope you enjoy it. At the end of this episode, we will tell you how to catch the whole thing if you want to watch it, listen to it all. We're here today with Michael Rowe. He might not necessarily be known for his wrestling, but he is known as Deadshot in the CW show Arrow.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's good. I know I met you in Armageddon Hamilton here in New Zealand, and then you went to Wellington, I believe, the next weekend, and you actually got to jump in a wrestling ring.
Yeah, that was kind of a childhood dream come true, to be honest with you. It wasn't planned before I headed to the Comic-Cons, but when I met some of the wrestlers and we started talking about our shared love of wrestling, yeah, those guys were nice enough to work out something where I could get involved with one of the matches.
You actually got to clothesline a few people and then top rope elbow.
Yeah, well, we didn't really, we spoke about some moves that I would do. We didn't really have a lot of time to get the stuff together, but I was adamant about jumping off the top rope, and they were skeptical about it. They were like, I don't know, man, have you ever wrestled before? I was like, nope. They were like, you ever been in a wrestling ring? Nope. And you want to come off the top rope? Yep. And, yeah, man, I think the adrenaline got me through. So I came off the top rope a couple of times, dropped an elbow, flying body press, a couple of clotheslines, DDTs. Good time was had by all.
So, I don't know, does Josh have any questions?
Not this time.
Okay. I know we'll try and stick on wrestling rather than move over to Arrow, but when I met you, I was in my Ultimate Warrior costume, and you talked about a story you had, I believe it was WrestleMania, one of them, and you were in the big hall?
Yeah, this is back before pay-per-views, because WrestleMania 6 and Ultimate Warrior was fighting Hulk Hogan. And I'm from a small place off the coast of Canada, an island called Newfoundland. And so one of the local sort of like hockey arenas patched through WrestleMania 6 live, and people bought tickets to go in and sit and watch it on a big screen. And I was heartbroken that Hulk lost the belt to Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 6.
So it seems wrestling was a major part of your childhood.
Yeah, man, I'd say from age probably 8 to 13, those 5 years were like the heyday of late 80s, early 90s wrestling. And I was one of these kids that, like, I had 4 brothers, and I would, like, tie the couch cushions to my younger brothers with skipping ropes and practice all the wrestling moves on them, hope that my parents wouldn't bust me doing it. They were nice and cushioned so they wouldn't take any damage. But, I also thought wrestling was real back then, so we would get pretty violent with it. I remember almost choking a guy out trying the Iron Sheik's finishing moves, the camel clutch on him one time in school. My bedroom was just covered in wrestling posters. I couldn't get enough, man. And, I started getting involved in music, and it sort of took me away from wrestling for a while. But then much later in life, I was living in a place called Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, and me and a couple of bandmates decided we want to go check out a live taping of Monday Night Raw. And this is probably 2004, 2003, something like that. And I had gone out to purchase a bunch of beer to bring back to my friends in the stands, and they busted me trying to sneak them in and said I couldn't go back to my seat. So me and my girlfriend at the time, Nikki, we were stuck out sort of, outside the arena trying to drink these beers as fast as we could because we were missing the first match. And one of the representatives from WWE came up and asked us how our seats were and this and that, and I was all bummed out because they wouldn't let us take my drinks back to the seats. Our seats were horrible. It was like the last row. And he said, well, how would you like some new seats? I said, okay, what I got to do? He was like, well, you got to agree to be involved in the show. And I was like, what do you mean I got to be in the show? I got to wrestle somebody? And they're like, no. At the end of the night, Stone Cold's going to ask some of his friends from Halifax to come out, drink some beer with him, and that's how we're going to outro the end of Monday Night Raw. And I was like, that sounds amazing, dude, but I'm here with like 10 people. I don't want to leave them up in these really crappy seats. So he's like, well, all right, let's go get your friends. And we all got sat pretty much ringside, and then at a certain point in the night, they took us backstage. And, you know, the thing that blew my mind about being backstage is the dudes working the monitors and being on the production crew for Monday Night Raw are all the old school wrestlers from the 80s, like Sergeant Slaughter and Terry Taylor. And so I got to be around those guys, Arn Anderson. And Stephanie McMahon is the one giving us the directions. And I realized that, you know, the crew for Monday Night Raw are the people in front of the camera for SmackDown that was happening. And then they switch roles for each show. And so they start, you know, loading us up with beer, and Stone Cold gets in the ring, Goldberg, and they have a little pushing match, and then he calls for all the people to come out, all his friends from Halifax, and like 40 of us go out and just start drinking beer by the ring. And then Eric Bischoff came out because he was like one of the co-managers of the Federation at the time or whatever. Him and Stone Cold were supposed to be running it, and he gets pissed off at Stone Cold. And we all start spitting our beer on him and throwing our beer cans in the ring at him and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that was the closest I got to being a wrestler until this moment happened in New Zealand.
That seems like a extremely lucky situation.
Well, you know, it really turned it around. It turned a really crappy situation into one of the best moments that I ever had. And it all revolved around drinking beer, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, you probably did a lot of that in New Zealand.
For sure.
But
I gotta give credit to my ex-girlfriend. I think because my ex-girlfriend was so hot that that's the reason why the guy approached us to go and get in on this ending to Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
So, props to Nikki.
I've lost my train of thought now. Do you
just blew your mind with that story.
Yeah, it was just so amazing. Do you keep up with the like current day product?
No, man. I don't like watch TV or anything, so I don't have access to it. If I find it's on, I'm drawn to it and I watch it and I like it. But I don't know any of the storylines currently. Some of the characters are, new to me. But I have been on set with a couple of wrestlers. I did a stunt on a show called Psych. It's an American show, and John Cena was the guest star. And so I had to get on a stand-up surfboard, like a paddle surfboard, and be out on the ocean as he's making a getaway from the bad guys, and he clotheslines the guy off a sea-doo, and then drives one of these like stand-up sea-doos, jet ski, I guess you'd call it, and then he has to like take off from the beach on the jet ski. And so all the stuff on land where he's like beating up dudes and jumping over sandcastles and stuff, he was a pro, man. Like, he had it dialed in. But then when he had to get on a jet ski, he'd never been on one before, and he was really nervous about it. And they were like, "You just got to get like 30 feet offshore and make it look like you've done it a million times." And so first take, man, he clotheslines the guy off the jet ski. He jumps on it. He stands up. He's all wobbly and stuff, but then he manages to make it straight out. And they get the shot, and then he just eats shit hard, and it was pretty funny.
Okay. I've heard through a couple of online friends that you're not the only Arrow cast member that loves wrestling.
Yeah, I'm starting to catch wind of that, too. I've had many discussions with David Ramsey, the actor who plays Diggle, about wrestling. We definitely share a love for it, but I've never spoken to Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow, about his interest in wrestling. And word on the street is that he's a huge fan, even today. Like, he still loves watching it.
It seems that everywhere you go, there's wrestling fans, but you don't necessarily know that they're wrestling fans.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Do you think there's a lot of people that are closet wrestling fans? Like, it's almost like a guilty pleasure or something like that?
I don't know. I know personally when you're sort of like, I was in my Ultimate Warrior costume, I was pretty out there, there was a lot of people coming up to me, and it was like, yeah, I love wrestling and stuff, but you don't outwardly show it. It's not like you can't just walk down a street and be like, that dude's a wrestling fan. It's very hard to tell.
Yeah.
But
You gotta find a way to break the ice.
yeah,
But when you do, if they're a true fan, man, you can just talk for hours about their involvement, like their history, their personal attachment to wrestling, and sort of how they got into it and stuff like that. So it's very cool. I've had long conversations with people that, like you said, I had no idea they were into it, and when you finally find that common ground, it like brings you a little bit closer together, man. It's great.
yeah. So as I said, this was the first part of the Michael Rowe interview. The rest of that will be played on the coming weeks. And if you want to catch the whole thing, you can just listen at the end of the show, and we'll give you the links to that. So now we're going to jump into our current entrance theme of the week. It's Roman Reigns. You're back with the Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady, Brandon, Josh. So we're going to jump back into Raw now, where we left off. Miz, Jericho.
It was a good match between the two. I'm a little saddened by the fact that Miz tapped out so quickly. Because if the idea was to try to build Miz back up, they're definitely not going about it the right way.
Yeah, the only thing I can see behind the Miz tapping out so quickly was he just wanted to protect his face. He didn't want to harm his body, because if one part of his body gets injured, that can affect his whole movie schedule.
It's the moneymaker.
Yeah, but that's not the... But I mean, it was immediate.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And so it's just bad. And I don't know if they're really trying to restart for Miz or what, but it just what they're doing right now just doesn't seem to be working.
He's either weak or cowardly.
I did enjoy the letter that they got that was a reference to former writer Vince Russo.
Yeah. Just a small nod.
Yeah. Little Johnny Russo.
Could you get any more obvious?
Nope.
So, after the match, Bray Wyatt challenges Jericho, so it looks like that is the match we're going to be getting at Battleground.
If I were Chris Jericho, I would have said no. Even though that's kind of cowardly, look what Bray Wyatt has done in a short amount of time. Just over a year.
Lost to Cena like 3 times.
But he also destroyed Cena quite a bit.
True.
He beat Cena once.
Yeah. Using a very dirty tactic.
And in that last man standing match, I think Bray Wyatt would have won if John Cena didn't use his instincts right there and cover the case with the giant, what do you call it? Another case, I should say.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good match between the two, but we do know that Jericho is in that part of his career, so it is very likely he will probably, maybe not in this match, but at least overall in the feud, will be putting over Bray.
Pull an RVD.
Yeah, but I think Jericho means more than RVD right now. If you're going with I defeated Chris Jericho, that sounds so much better than I defeated RVD.
Yeah, because RVD has lost like 10 times in a row.
Yeah. So, the Divas, we've got a new tag team, and one of our old ones exploded.
I think we got a pseudo tag team.
Pseudo.
And an explosion.
Yeah, it counts for now.
The Funkadactyls may have exploded, but at Battleground, I think AJ Lee and Paige will explode.
And for the second straight pay-per-view, we're going to have 2 Divas matches. I have no idea when it was the last time that happened.
I would hazard to say never, or in the 2000 and somethings.
Yeah, they have a lot
I would
of
say when they
Divas
had the Women's and Divas Championships.
True.
Separate. Beyond that, I have no idea. That's something I need to research, but I don't know.
But so we're all imagining Paige and AJ to be not real friends.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that everything is phony between them.
Okay.
Yeah. Women pretend they like each other, but they really hate each other.
So we're gonna see Paige flip out or AJ flip out?
Definitely Paige.
Yeah, I think they're building for Paige to have an explosion. And I expect AJ to walk out with the championship because I think Vince McMahon would rather have her as the champion than Paige.
True. So by the time this airs, I believe CM Punk's contract would have run up.
Yep, bye-bye CM
Yeah.
Punk. I'm wearing your shirt right now.
Okay.
Yay.
So we'll just pretend it's already happened. We recorded this live, and CM Punk has been released. And
He's gone. Bye-bye.
And if we're wrong, we'll just fix that next episode. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So for I think it's...
Will Dave Meltzer it?
Yeah, we'll just go backwards, change it. So for the second week, I think it is now, Kofi Kingston has scored another upset over Cesaro.
Is it really an upset anymore, though?
It is Kofi.
I think it is.
I don't think it is.
I think...
Because I think Cesaro's getting buried. In
No,
preparation
I
for
don't
the
think he's getting
return
buried.
of Brock Lesnar.
I don't know.
They have big plans for Cesaro, and if Cesaro continues the way he's been wrestling, not necessarily winning matches, but the way he's been wrestling, there's no reason why he should continue to rise, and I think that rise will continue at the Battleground pay-per-view when he becomes the Intercontinental Champion.
Do you want to put that curse on him?
Well, there has been... Well, Biggie Langston, I don't really think you can call that a curse, because it looks like he's going to go into a tag team with Kofi Kingston now. But
It was a curse at the time.
you're
Because he
right.
did nothing with the title. That's the point of what I'm saying, is that whoever holds that title does nothing or gets hurt.
yeah, Barrett had a great title reign while it lasted. He defended his title a lot. And if Cesaro or whoever walks out with a title at Battleground, they're going to have to go through the same title defenses that Bad News Barrett went through.
Yeah, and I've heard that Bad News Barrett will award the championship to the winner.
I have a feeling that's not going to wind up ending well. I think Barrett will deliver a bullhammer.
Depends on whether the bull amber is the arm that had the surgery or not.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, no, we'll go look that up. So yeah, Kofi Big E, are we going to see a tag team?
Probably.
I don't know.
Kofi.
Or an alliance at least?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think WWE needs to be careful with that, because they have been recently accused of being racist through an article online, and so they need to be careful with anything that they do that might be considered racist.
But if I can put an article online saying WWE is racist, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't think that's going to stop any plans from going through. But
No, but
I'd like to see a tag team between those two guys.
But it was a business article that printed this, and they did a lot of research on it. So it does hold a little bit of clout.
You want those share
for
prices
WWE.
to drop? Publicly traded company and all that.
So they do need to be careful.
So just a quick note: Bo Dallas and his Bo Dog on El Torito.
Very impressive.
13 and Bo. 13 and Bo.
How many in Bo is he gonna get?
30. 30 at the least.
I'm gonna say 51 and Bo.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gonna say he will be the next Intercontinental Champion.
Okay.
I would not mind that.
I'm gonna go a little shorter than both of you. I'm gonna go 28 in Bo. Just-
Okay, we'll look back at this episode.
Yep, we'll write this down and we will remember this and we'll see who was right or closer. So main event: John Cena, Seth Rollins. Didn't really happen.
Do you want to know what? This made 0 sense to me. Why couldn't Seth Rollins just take a steel chair, beat John Cena with it, get disqualified, and then cash in?
That's what I would have
Rather
done.
than just wrestle.
Because Rollins doesn't play that way. Rollins wanted to beat him fair and square first.
But come on, he's a
Because
bad guy.
That's what he wanted. He wanted to beat him first. And really, I wanted to actually mention about the promo Reigns had at the start of the show.
Okay, we'll go back there.
Because I felt that was a really good promo for him, and I think that that he's starting to get really comfortable with who he is as a character, and I think that this is going to start building towards his eventual main event status.
Yeah, he's improving a lot on the microphone, and if he continues to improve on the microphone, there's no reason why he can't be a top star in the company.
So we're going to see Reigns Cena or Brock Cena still?
Probably Brock Cena, but we could see Reigns versus Cena down the road.
Yeah, I'd say probably next year's SummerSlam main event.
Okay.
Because I see one of two possibilities. If Brock Lesnar wins the championship at SummerSlam, Roman Reigns wins the title at WrestleMania off of him, or Daniel Bryan wins the title at WrestleMania off of him.
Okay.
Those are the only two options I see at this point.
Well, we are all out of time, so it's been great talking to both of you.
Yep.
Peace.
So you can visit I said before you could get the whole interview on our social media pages. So that's our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio. It's also on our website, wrestlingroundup.host22.com, and I'll see you next week.